Today I'm going to do my best to answer the question, how do Christians stay motivated in their faith? And this was inspired by a question that came in from the comments. So a few months back, someone said, this may seem outside the scope of your channel, but could you talk about becoming jaded or disinterested, like reasons to care about these big questions to begin with, and stamina to keep going after the excitement of the apologetic truth-seeking journey wears off? So first, I just want to say thank you for this question. I think it is good and fair and one that a lot of us can relate to. There are definitely times when faith feels more easy and like you're in the flow, and then there are other times when it's a bit more of a struggle and there's friction, or just maybe no motivation. So the first thing I thought of is that this is not a question that's unique to faith. This is actually something that we have to engage with in a lot of different areas of our lives. There are things that we know are good and true and right, and that knowing doesn't necessarily turn into feeling motivated. An example of this could be exercise, right? We all know exercise is good for us, that it is good for our metabolic health and our mental health and our long-term bone strength and, so many other things. But knowing that doesn't really motivate us to go to the gym. At least most of us would say so. For those a couple people who are like, yeah, that's all I need, like, I'm so happy for them. So again, the first thing, just know that that's normal. And I think that knowing that's going to be a normal thing, we should also plan accordingly. Not being motivated doesn't necessarily mean that we don't do anything about it, right? Not being motivated to work out doesn't mean we shouldn't ever work out. It is still good to work out whether we're in the mood or not. So here are a few things that have helped me to stay on track, if you will, despite not always feeling motivated. Okay, so the first one is staying connected to your why. The reason I love apologetics is that I know why I'm a Christian, right? I know why I believe that God is real. I know why I think Christianity is the worldview that has the most evidence in support of it. So I know why I'm a Christian. And that's great. I also know that people, myself included, like, we're all prone to forget. So you don't learn something once and then never revisit it again for the rest of your life. We need to kind of remind ourselves of the things that we know. And we even see God do this with people in the Old Testament, right? He knows that they're prone to forgetting, and so he establishes a lot of festivals to help remind them of the things that he's done for them, the reasons why they should follow him and care. So whatever it is that helps you remember why you're a Christian in the first place, why you made this decision, stay tapped into that. Like, maybe that's apologetics, maybe that's getting to know God through the Bible, maybe that's particular pastors' sermons or podcasts, or hearing other people's testimonies and how God's active in other people's lives. Just try to keep connected to that. And then the second one is related. It's building consistency. Like I said, this is not a one-time thing. This is something we need to do throughout our whole lives, and it really helps to have some regularity in that. I think this is why it can be really helpful to, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons I think it's so helpful to go to church is because it's a regular weekly reminder of why we're doing what we're doing, why we believe what we believe, if it's a good church. I also think this is why it's great to do, to be in your Bible. You get reminded of who God is, and not just in your Bible, but have a regular reading plan. Like, I personally follow one of those, read the Bible through a year. I'm always going through one of those, and I like it because it tells me what I'm going to read that day, which makes it really easy. It also is really manageable because it's usually just between 2 and 4 chapters a day. So, it's doable. I can always read more if I want to, but I try to not read less. But I do that not because I'm always in the mood to do it, but because I always feel good afterwards. I'm always glad I have done that afterwards. And I think it's one of those things of keeping an iron in the fire, that even if I'm not feeling it, I know it's going to be good for me, in the way that even if I'm not feeling it, working out is going to be good for me. So doing the thing, creating some kinds of routines, creating routines for Bible study and for prayer and for, apologetics or whatever those things are that keep you motivated. And as much as you can make it easy on yourself, finding a church that's close to you, finding a church you enjoy so it feels fun instead of like a chore, do that. Then the third thing is, it's also connected, they're all connected, is to build support and accountability for yourself. So if you're going to a church, don't just attend, show up for the sermon, and then take off. Like, really connect to the body of believers. Christianity is not meant to be done in isolation. And I think that a big part of that is because Christians, we all encourage each other, we challenge each other, we support each other. We're supposed to anyway. So I would encourage you to find a way to connect with Christians in your local community. There's so many different ways to do that. That can be church, that can be Bible study, that can be a friend group, that can be, book clubs, just having regular people in your life who are going to point you to God. I also think that it's really helpful to just reach out to people who seem to be doing this well and asking them what they're doing and copying that. Like, going back to this exercise illustration, when I go to the gym, I'm usually looking at the people who seem to be doing something I want to be doing or a level of fitness I want to be, and then I try to copy what they're doing. I think we can do this with our faith too. So if there's someone you see who just seems to be doing a great job, ask them what they're up to. Read the books they're reading. Go where they're going. Just, get involved. Get a regular group of Christians around you who are going to inspire you and help with the motivation. There's one other thing I wrote down that seems so obvious we maybe don't always think of it, but that is to ask for God's help. King David, who wrote some of the Old Testament and Psalms, he is known as being a man after God's own heart. And yet in Psalm 51, he said, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." He said, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation." So what we're seeing here is David, again, this man who's described after being God's own heart. He is asking God to renew a steadfast spirit within me, restore the joy that he once had. He's asking God for motivation. He is asking God for his help to love God the way he used to love God. And so if David can do this, we absolutely can too. So again, my main tips are to stay connected to your why, remember your why, create routines in your life that are going to remind you of your why regularly, build in some support and accountability and community, and ask God for his help. If you are a Christian and you have some things that have helped you, please put them in the comments too. And then if you have other questions for me or about Christianity, put those in the comments as well, and we'll cover them in a future video. And if you're a subscriber, I will see you in a future video. Thank you so much. Bye.